Hi YouTube, this is MOP Talks with Trev. I'm Trev and this is Modern Organic Philosophy. Today we're going to be talking about the human brain and the two-party system in politics, US politics. Uh, so the human brain is actually broken into two hemispheres, the cerebrum, the high brain. You have the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And they kind of serve different purposes. The left hemisphere is for analytical things, memorization, math, and then the right side is for creativity. Whenever you're doing art, you're using the right side of your brain more. So US politics are similar in the way it's broken into a left and a right. Um, of course, the left, the liberal Democrats, and the right, uh, conservative. And it's like that everywhere you go, no matter what they call it, there's a right and a left. But it's weird though, because you're like, well, how does that make sense? Because the liberal brain is the right side, but it's the left in politics. And the conservative brain is the left side, but it's the right in politics. So, and that goes back to the thing that we always heard, that the left hemisphere has to do with the right side of your brain and the right hemisphere the left. So you can't win in politics if you're liberal, you're avoiding logic when it's only two systems. And whenever you're too conservative, sometimes you're, you know, not as caring as you should be and as emotional as the right brain would have you. But we all know we want balance. We want equilibrium amongst our politics and the hemispheres of our brain. So we need to figure out a way to use rationale. So if there's only two choices to make, we need to be able to use what we have, our brain, and what we have to our disposal to rationalize and make a good decision. So in order to see where you are, you need 2 points of reference. And that's what Pythagoras said with his triangle, this Pythagorean triangle. And of course, it's got the classic dimensions of 3, 4, and 5. Now, if I'm standing in one place, I can use my right and my left to see where I am, and I can find balance. Boom, that's there, and that's there. So I'm going to use my logic of my left brain and my right hand, and I'm going to use my creativity from my right brain and my left hand to get done what I need to get done. And in this case, we're talking about rationalizing politics. So luckily, there's a little bit of ancient wisdom that needs to be brought into a modern context. And in order to understand how your brain works and to understand how to reason and how to do good research, we need to understand the method at which your brain functions, and that is the trivium. And it has 3 parts to it, and that is grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Now, and that's what the 3 is for. The trivium, the quadrivium, which is also the 4 elements, the 4 seasons, the 4 directions, and then the 5 is your 5 senses. So what you're gonna want to do is take the information from the trivium, the information from the quadrivium, and rationalize it using logic with your 5 senses. So we need to know that grammar or input, step number 1. This is how your brain works. It brings in all the information. And if you don't reason, you might jump off to an emotional state, which we see people doing in politics because they're polarized one way or the other, and they can't see that third way, that third dimension. So the trivium allows us to step back and look. The second step is logic. Step 1, grammar, which is the input. Step 2, logic, which is processing the input, just like a computer. And I'm not the first person on YouTube to talk about this, but I want to clarify it in my language. So once you've got your grammar, your logic, you've then got your rhetoric or output. And this is not only how your brain naturally works, but also a step-by-step formula that you can use to make good decisions. Whenever you're writing shit down, that's how you do it. You get all the grammar or the input, and then you take that and weed it out with your logic, and then once you have your sound logic, then you can present it, then you can act it out in the world or speak it. Shout out to Wooden Books. They did a great job on both the trivium and the quadrivium. So we're still on Pythagoras' triangle. Now, liberal arts and reason and logic is the way out of polarity, and we should have been taught the classic liberal arts, the 7 classic liberal arts when we were kids. We need to understand how the brain works. We don't understand that it's divided into 2 hemispheres. Those are eyeballs. And that one of them is yin and the other one's yang. Or you could say male and female. Like Carl Jung said, every male has his female side, the animus, and every female, her male side, the anima. I think I'm saying that right. But the anima and the animus. So, as a man, I need to be able to use my logic and my memorization with my left brain, and I need to be, even the most manly thing you do, you need to be creative in order to build something. So you need your brain to be in balance, and you need your politics to be in balance. And if you yourself are mentally fit and balanced, it doesn't matter who the president is, as long as they don't take our rights away. But that's another story. Let me not get off topic. The trivium method is how your brain works, and it's also how you can formulate it doing your own work. And so let me go into the quadrivium, which are the other 4. So of course you have the trivium, the quadrivium, and your 5 senses. Quadrivium consists of number, geometry, music, and cosmology. That means, you take number, any number, and then you have geometry, which is that number in space. And then music is the number in time. And then cosmology, the seventh liberal art and science. Cosmology is number in time and space. And it's just amazing. These books are, if you're going to be watching this channel and learning my version of modern organic philosophy, you're going to want to get these wooden books. They're priceless. And another book that I indirectly used for this was the solar plexus brain. And I actually wasn't planning on talking about the solar plexus brain, but I might as well, because I definitely used this book earlier today when I was setting this up. So aside from the cerebrum, the two halves that I was talking about, there's also a cerebrospinal part of your brain, and that is the cerebellum and the medulla oblongata. So this guy calls that three brains, and then he says the fourth brain is in your solar plexus and is connected to your nervous system, and it's kind of like your unconscious and subconscious, where we were talking about the two halves, the cerebrum, that's like your conscious part that animals don't have developed like humans do. So, and they don't have politics either. So we're trying to figure out this balance. We might have been balanced sometime in the past, but we're still figuring all that out, and we're going to be talking about that right here on this channel, so stay tuned. Peace to all of you, and Trump 17, baby. Let's see what happens. But we're going to be doing what we can do out here, and bringing it to you live. Trev out.